Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you, always this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday wherever you are. In this great world we're going to talk about XRP, and I got to start with this. If you have more money in crypto than you have in your bank account, welcome to the 1% of insane yet wise investors. You know, it's not that we're crazy for investing into crypto. We're actually smarter than most people because we figured out that you could invest in crypto and get financial freedom from it with very little investment. It's like the one last opportunity for the average person to make a lot of money. That's what crypto is. And a lot of people are going to walk away from crypto as multimillionaires. Millionaires, the bank is not going to give you that opportunity. Could stack as much cash you want into a checking account. And guess what? They're giving you less than 1% on your money. That's why I think stablecoins are going to gain a lot of mainstream momentum. Speaking of incentives, did we note that RLUSD now offers 5% rewards? Everyone is in a rush to cash out their cryptocurrency and send the money to the bank. So why would you ever want to send it to the bank in the first place? The traditional banking system is losing clients because it is stuck in the past. You may have money in your checking account, but it isn't even earning enough interest to pay off the loan you just took. With passive income in cryptocurrency, you could be earning from your XRP or repaying a loan you took out against your XLM. There will be a plethora of superior alternatives to the conventional banking system. This is just the beginning. All I really want is for some of that value to appear in the price of XRP. Ripple made 23 million RLUSD in a 24-hour period, and this time it also occurred on the XRP ledger. However, you know that this indicates that there is demand for RLUSD, and that it will continue to gain momentum as time goes on. Another cryptocurrency milestone on the Brazilian stock exchange is XRPH11, the first XRP ETF in history. Hashdex just released XRPH11. Providing investors with regulated and safe access to XRP. One of the top cryptocurrency assets for quick, inexpensive, and worldwide payments, XRPH11, is Hashdex's ninth cryptocurrency exchange-traded fund, ETF, in Brazil, and our 33rd product worldwide. We are continuing to grow the crypto economy by providing investors with reliable, regulated, and effective means to engage in the financial future. And we will shortly launch another ETF. ProShares capitalizes on XRP's momentum with the launch of a new futures ETF on April 30th, which is this coming week. I'm hoping that some value will emerge from this early on. Perhaps this week will be the first time that XRP actually begins to move up in price. I just want to enter price discovery because I know that the FOMO will be incredible when that occurs. When that occurs, everyone will want to buy XRP, and you will have a variety of price forecasts. Everyone will be saying, here we go, $50 next for XRP, $100 XRP. It will be a very exciting time, and I believe it begins with these ETFs. This comes from Vincent Van Code and the Chainlink. At the same time, you're going to have buyers at all different price points on the way up, and people selling off on the way up as well. People will think the top is in time, but then watch XRP go higher. For example, if you want to integrate a broken messaging system with a modern DT, what will happen and what problem will you solve? Even if Swift replaces Nostro Vostro with blockchain and crypto while maintaining the same interfaces, they would still encounter outdated messaging bottlenecks. This is the reason why the XRP argument is still going strong among all those who are touring Chainlink and HAR as a fix for Swift. Delays in trust and reconciliation when using blockchain technology, inefficiencies in regulations and compliance. They'd basically be putting a Ferrari engine in horse cart. I thought that was great. But it's true, this is why XRP and Ripple. The future, take a listen to Brad here. I think we are moving into a new world order. I think the Internet of Value. Ripple talks a lot about what payments look like, not just, today, but in 10, 20 years. And when we think about that, we talk about this Internet of value. How do we let value move the way information moves today? I think about the dynamic between Ripple and Swift, not dissimilar to the dynamic between, when Amazon in 1997, 1998, and you got Walmart, I certainly, it's a David and Goliath kind of classic story. I think that the challenges you're dealing with when Ripple thinks about the future of Internet of Value, really democratizing payments, reducing cost dramatically, increasing speed dramatically, we're really thinking about it the same way we introduced new technologies, like TCP/IP and HTTP that became the Internet of Information. When we talk about what the SWIFT network is today, it's a kind of a closed network. It has a lot of members on it for sure, but AOL had a lot of members, and when we moved into the age of the Internet and a decentralized democratic network, I think that what you're seeing introduced with blockchain technologies. And it's, by the way, it's not just Ripple. When we think about interoperability, we think about interoperability between many blockchains, and, I think that the future we see is certainly, one of many networks, interoperable networks, and reducing the friction of those payments to close zero. And I think you're going to see a lot of innovation spawn from that part, from Ripple and part from an entire ecosystem. So I'll also agree very much with what Grace said. At the end, competition has clearly been a good thing for Swift. I do think what has happened with GPI is a big step forward. For 40-plus years, we had a construct around how correspondent banking worked. It worked, but had a lot of limitations. We're seeing that move forward, but I think it's a step forward when you're switching from kind of, if I may, horse and buggy to, hey, can we make the horse and buggy go faster? Sure. But if we can actually just move to a Ferrari, let's do that, was one of the best clips of Brad Garlinghouse, because he's sitting there with the guy from Swift, and he's pretty much telling him, listen, your system is outdated. It needs to be fixed. You're not going to fix all the problems, and that's why Ripple XRP will continue to steal more and business away from Swift over time. But I do believe that Brad is what he's trying to tell you is it's not just going to be Ripple and XRP. There's going to be other networks involved as well. I really am a huge fan of Hayar. I see all the growth around Hayar and HBAR Ripple coming together in the new financial system is going to be absolutely incredible. Chainlink is also going to play a very important role. But what sets XRP apart is this. It unlocks on-demand liquidity. And it also, Ripplet isn't just messaging, it's also settlement. As well, all Swift does is messaging, not settlement. That's the main difference. That's why we will eventually see Ripple replace Swift, and hopefully that can now get put to rest, because every single day I see people arguing about this. They're either arguing that there's no way Ripple will ever replace Swift, or they're saying that it's not Ripple. As the future, it's Chainlink or Hedera. I think it's going to be a handful of cryptocurrencies working together that's going to replace Swift, but XRP is going to play the most important role because it settles and delivers ODL Mark the TWADA. The SEC Commissioner proposed on April 25th that the SEC should allow state-chartered trust companies to become qualified crypto custodians. They want to make it possible for everyone to have custody of cryptocurrency. And at the moment, Ripple offers one of the best custody options available. However, they are allowing banks and other institutions to participate because they want to level the playing field for all parties, including traditional players. You can see this with banks, who will be telling their clients, hey, if you want to get investing to crypto, we can promise you X amount in returns. They will need to provide incentives first because, for example, people don't want to hear about cryptocurrency right away. The bank will provide incentives early on to encourage people to get involved with cryptocurrency, and then it will either hold the cryptocurrency for its customers or contract with a third party like Ripple. This is why custody is so crucial, and I believe we are currently observing who will succeed Jerome Powell as Fed chair. Kevin Walsh says that cryptocurrencies have been misunderstood. It is software and would be prudent to use it. Take a listen to this. What would be your opinion on that? Thank you, sure to the question of the central bank digital currency. And then you're going to give me the either another question or pull me off stage. We central bankers. They bankers. I'm a has-been. Central bankers. We're in the wholesale business. We ought not be in the retail business. It is decision of Congress, the decision executive branch, if they want to create a US dollar stablecoin, if they want to have a central bank digital currency, that's their decision. And if it's a retail product, I wouldn't very much want the central bank to be too involved in that. I'm worried already that when people are looking for money and they go to the Appropriations Committee, and the Appropriations Committee says no, they then come down to the Federal Reserve as if we're the appeals court for fiscal policy. I don't need when the next crisis comes for 300 million Americans to have accounts at the central bank. Well, why don't you guys just fill up those accounts, Congress asks, when they are struggling to find a way to pay for something. The entire debate surrounding cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, is largely misunderstood. This new technology is software. There is nothing secret about it, which is why the terms crypto and currency sound like money. If our government's executive branch in Congress decides that they want a stable currency, that is a great decision for them to make, and the Fed should not be involved in that. Instead, we should be involved in the wholesale funding model, which we have been for a long time. What happens when this money goes between one bank and another? What happens when the central bank is playing in the interbank market? Well, there's huge reforms that I think can be had, and we can move to a system that is more secure, reliable, more instantaneous. And using some of this new technology is certainly a very prudent way to do it. That's in the province of the central bank. Everything else is in the province of executives. I think he would be a great replacement for Jerome Powell because he sees cryptocurrency for what it is. And he also sees how it could fix a lot of problems. I also like his stance on a central bank digital currency. If it's a retail CBDC, then the Fed should have no hands in it. And if it's a wholesale CBDC, it's more fitting for the central banks. And he also was sitting down with the Ripple Advisory Board member. Take a listen to this if you were the substitute teacher. I think the main teacher is out of a job now. I'm not touching that one. But let me assure you, but not that main teacher. You meant Mark. No, I didn't. They just were having a light-hearted exchange, but the fact that he's sitting there with a Ripple Advisory Board member, he most likely already knows the plan going forward. They're going to utilize RLUSD in the United States. I really think that's President Trump's plan. I think that's why he was meeting with Ripple even before he became the president. I think they're also going to have utilize XRP inside the banking system, because the banking system still has a lot of liquidity issues, and XRP could fix those liquidity issues. But the reason I wanted to do this video is because right now we are at the point in crypto where we're about to see institutional adoption, and the banks are now allowed to custody crypto, that are allowed to handle crypto, and we are on the verge of everything changing very quick in the coming months. It's going to start with one big bank, and I think it's going to start with the Fed. That's what's really going to push XRP to those high price points, and you combine that with the ETFs as well, and that institutional adoption. That's why when David Schwartz said a few months back, over the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to see mass institutional adoption. I think he saw it coming as well, and that institutional adoption is what will lead to mass adoption. Everybody always thinks they have to hold XRP 2030. You could jump out at any time along the way, because I think once XRP finally goes on that massive utility run with the rest of these utility-driven cryptocurrencies, you're going to see gradual upward movement. For a long period of time, you're going to see pullbacks still, but the pullbacks are not going to be what people are expecting. You know, a lot of people are still calling for a 90% drop on XRP, After alt season. I don't think we're going into alt season. I think we're going into a utility run. I think people are going to be calling the top. People are going to be selling and regretting it right after they sell. Because the price is going to continue, go higher and higher with adoption happening. That's what I see coming for XRP. I also see it coming for HAR, XDC, XLM, and so on. Anything that has utility is going to gain a lot of institutional adoption over the coming months. But like I always tell you until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.